Hey guys, welcome back. So today I have another Gather Round Homeschool plan and prep video for you. Today we are going to be doing a New World U.S. History 1 mini unit. Okay, so if you are not familiar with the Gather Round mini units, these are different from their normal beefed up units where they cover all of your school subjects except for math. As the name suggests, a mini unit is shorter. It has shorter readings from the teacher guide and shorter worksheets for your students to complete. Actually, each lesson only has 2 worksheets for your kids to do. These units dive deep into a specific area of study. So for today, for A New World, obviously this is going to dive in pretty deep to U.S. history. It will also cover Bible, art, some science, some language arts, some things like that. But the real focus of this mini unit is U.S. history. There are 20 lessons in this unit, beginning at an overview of the indigenous Americas leading up to the French and Indian War. Now, these lessons are meant to be done in about 1 hour a day. You will spend anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes reading aloud from the teacher guide, and then your students will spend around 30 minutes working in their individual notebooks, whether they are a pre-reader, elementary school, middle schooler, or a high schooler, about a half hour in their notebooks. And then I would definitely suggest to allot for about 10, 15, 20 extra minutes to do just extra activities, whether that's reading books off of the book lists or including any of the things that I'm going to share with you today in this video. This unit has less writing for your kids and instead focuses in on a few different things. First of all, timeline, mapping, vocabulary, oral narrations, and then a unit project that your kids will work on for about 4 lessons throughout the 20 lessons in the unit. So a couple of weeks ago during my Week at a Glance vlog, I mentioned to you all that I was taking a late afternoon to go ahead and work on purchasing and printing out this unit. I will make sure to link that video down below. But I'll go ahead and just share the quick details of how I purchase and print a unit from Gather Round. First, I head to the Gather Round website where I log in and I go ahead and pick out the unit I want to purchase. So this specific mini unit, A New World, was $34.95 for the digital unit for the entire family bundle. And that includes all of the levels, the teacher guides, and every level, no matter what age your student is, from high school all the way down to pre-reader. Once I have purchased the unit, I will immediately receive an email that has download links where I can download the unit onto my computer or into Google Drive, something like that, and then I can get started printing right away. I do not have to wait at all. So that is really convenient. I am able to purchase and print the entire unit for our family in less than an hour. Now, some nitty-gritty details about what I print on. First of all, you guys know I love my Brother printer. I will make sure to link our printer down below. I print in color, 2-sided on 24 or 28 pound weight paper. For the last few units of Gather Round, I have gotten a lot less complicated with our binding systems. I have just gone back to simple, oldie but a goodie, just normal 3-ring binders or notebooks. I like to use these just plain white notebooks. I've been able to find these at Costco in bulk, and I've also just recently did an order of these online through Amazon. I'll make sure to link them down below. But these are just plain old white 3-ring notebooks, 3-ring binders. They have the nice little clear plastic front on here where you can slide in a paper. So this makes it really nice to slide in whatever cover we are using for that specific Gather Round unit. So I use these binders for myself, for the teacher guide and teacher companions, and then I also make up notebooks for each one of my kids. Now, even though I'm keeping our binding system really simple this time around, I do have a new product that I'm going to include in each of our notebooks that I wanted to share with you guys. These are binder pockets. I found them on Amazon. I actually saw another homeschool mama who recommended these on her channel, and I just think they are great. They are just plastic pockets that you can stick vocabulary cards in, flashcards, index cards, or any other type of papers that you want to just collect. I'm thinking we are going to use these for vocabulary in this unit. They were very inexpensive. I was actually able to order them in bulk. I got 12 of these for $10. For this unit, I printed out a teacher guide and a teacher companion for myself, as well as 2 upper elementary notebooking pages for my 13 and my 12-year-olds. Now, I know that they are technically middle schoolers, but I purposely have bumped them down to the upper elementary school pages this year. It has just been a better fit for them, a better fit for our family. I also printed out an early reader notebook for my 7-year-old Mariah. And then lastly, I printed out 2 copies of the pre-reader pages. Now, I did this because I am planning on combining some of the pre-reader and the early reader pages for my 7-year-old, for Mariah. And then I'm also planning on utilizing those coloring pages for my toddler who just turned 3, Ezra. So I wanted to spend a few minutes talking to you guys about how I am planning on using this unit in our homeschool. Now, since this is a mini unit, I am planning on using this alongside of our normal Gather Round units. Yes, I said units plural. We are currently finishing the Africa unit, and we are also doing the artists unit 1 day per week. So now when I add in a new world, we will actually be doing 3 units from Gather Round all at one time. That sounds a little bit crazy, but it actually is just really working well for our home right now. That being said, I am planning on using this mini unit 2 days per week. We will cover 2 lessons every week, and we'll do it in the afternoons after lunchtime. That means that it is going to take us a while to get through this entire unit. It could take us 10, maybe 11 weeks, probably the rest of our semester. We did this kind of system with the government mini unit earlier this year, and it took us the bulk of the first semester, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with going through this unit very slowly, really savoring it and enjoying it. So originally, I was a little bit hesitant to include Mariah, my early reader, in on this unit. The government mini unit that we had done this fall and winter had just been a little bit over her head. It was really wordy. The concepts were a little bit too much for her to really understand. And so I just was hesitant to kind of include her in this mini unit. But as I dug in, as I brainstormed and really got a feel for the curriculum, I fell in love with it, and I think it is going to be a wonderful fit for her and for my middle schoolers. And so I'm going to encourage Mariah to jump in and do a lot of this unit with my older kids. So for each Gather Round Homeschool unit, as I sit down and I brainstorm and try to come up with extra activities to kind of beef up our unit, the first place I start is in the teacher guide or teacher companion in the planning pages that Gather Round includes. These are just beautiful, and they are a wonderful resource that are just there to kind of help me put all of my thoughts down in one place. For this unit, the planning pages are included in the teacher companion on pages 4 through 7. I also immediately check out the Gather Round Facebook page as well as the Gather Round app. These 2 resources are wonderful to connect with other Gather Round mamas who have maybe already started or completed this unit and have ideas and suggestions about extra activities, games, books, movies that worked well for their family. And so it's just kind of nice to hear that firsthand experience from somebody who has already done the unit. All right, so let's talk about one of my favorite things, books. Now, Gather Round includes a suggested reading guide with each one of their units, and for the U.S. History unit, it is in the Teacher's Companion on pages 8 through 10. This list is wonderful and breaks down books by the different age levels: pre-reader, early reader, elementary school, middle school, high school. There are book suggestions no matter what age your children are. Now, I will definitely be pulling some titles from this list, but as usual, I am adding some of my own, and I'm just going to flip through and show you all of the books that I'm going to include in our U.S. History book basket. Now, you guys know that I always like to pick a couple of titles from the middle school or high school lists and use these as a family read aloud. So the two books that I have picked out for this, and I don't even have them handy, hold on. This first one is actually not on the Gather Round list. This is one that I already had from Sunlight. This is Pedro's Journal, A Voyage with Christopher Columbus. This is by Pam Conrad, and it is the story of a boy named Pedro who is a ship boy on the Santa Maria alongside of Christopher Columbus. It is a fictional tale that just really brings to life the story of Christopher Columbus and his travels across the Atlantic. The other book I am planning to read aloud is The Sign of the Beaver by Elizabeth George Spear. Now, this is a book I've actually read to the kids earlier in years past. We also own this on Audible. There is a fantastic version of it on there. This is one of our family favorites, so this will be a fun read to just go ahead and go back to and do again. Now, to be completely transparent with you guys, I am a little bit of an over planner when it comes to these units. I gather a lot of books, as you can tell, and I come up with a pretty large list of different activities, movies, games, and different things that the kids can do as we are studying the unit. But if I am completely honest with you, we never tackle everything that I share on these plan and prep videos. We never read every single book that I put on the book suggestions. We never do every art and activity project that I plan. I like to really have a lot of options and things at my disposal for us to work on those days when I really want to do some extras. But we also have our days where we just do the bare bones of the unit and we don't do any of these extras. So I just want to put this out there. I don't ever mean these videos to be intimidating or to make you feel like you have to do all of these things. These are just ideas and resources that I like to have for my own self that are available for those days when I want to do more, but are also there to kind of ignore when I don't want to do them. First of all, as I mentioned earlier in the video, there is a really big focus on timeline in this unit. And so I am planning on utilizing our big timeline poster that we have on the back of our basement door. We will use wet erase markers to write the different timeline events up on this timeline poster and to kind of keep track of what we are studying as we work our way through the unit. Now, Gather Round also includes some timeline pages in the appendix, and you could get really creative and create your own timeline poster or something like that, but we really love this laminated timeline poster that we've had for years and years. This unit also focuses in a lot on geography and mapping, and so I am planning on letting my kids use these North America political maps that I got from Miller Paper. I always stop at the Miller stand when I go to a homeschool conference and stock up on all of their different maps. This pad, I don't even know how many pages are on here, probably 25 or 30 different pages that you could use to practice your drawing or mapping or geography skills. These are also great if you just want to use them as a coloring page for younger kids. But I think we have all of the different continents that I have collected over the years, so I will make sure to put a link for Miller Paper down below in the description box. Narration is another big part of this unit study. It is something they do every few lessons. They will do oral narrations, and something I am planning on doing with my older kids who are very well versed in IEW, Institute for Excellence in Writing. I am planning on taking their oral narrations and having them write them down into written narrations. And then at the end of the unit, I will have them take all of their written narrations and combine them into a paper for the unit, kind of following the IEW style of writing. Another writing project that I will probably ask my older kids to do is to do some type of biography paper about one individual that they really liked or learned a lot about during the unit. Now, we have utilized some of the Who Was biographies in the past for some of our other Gather Round units. Who was George Washington? Who was Alexander Hamilton? Things like that. And honestly, this is how we like to study history in our home. We really like to focus in on the people, on the relationships that were built, and try to view history through that person's perspective, to spend a day in their shoes, how they were feeling, the life circumstances that they had, the family members, what their home was like, what kind of things they felt and did throughout their lifetime that affected that era of history. We just really connect a lot with people and relationships as we are studying history. So lastly, as part of the Gather Round unit, during 4 of the different lessons, it will ask for the older students to work on a unit art project. And this is just something they're going to work on and build an art showcase to have finished at the end of the unit. This is going to include some crafts and art projects that are involved in the Indigenous Americans. They could do weaving or beadwork or things like that. It also is going to have them draw or paint a portrait of somebody, just all kinds of different arts that they are going to put together into a showcase for the end of the unit. So I'm going to make sure I have supplies on hand for them to do that. I wish I had it to show you, but it hasn't come yet. I'm ordering a weaving kit in particular for Leah that I think she'll enjoy using. And then I'm going to make sure we have all of our art supplies, canvases, paint, drawing supplies, things that we already have on hand, obviously because of the artist unit. And then just beads and different things like that for them to really be able to jump in and work on that art showcase. Next, let's talk about extra activities that I have planned for younger kids. This would be appropriate for younger elementary school kids as well as preschoolers. These are things that I have in mind for my 7-year-old Mariah, who I consider to be in 1st grade and who is working through the early reader pages in Gather Round units. Now, first of all, I am going to let her do the art showcase art projects that my older kids are doing, but I'm going to bring it down to her level a little bit. I have some Play-Doh and some air dry clay that she could work on pottery. I have lacing beads and other just kind of small pony beads and beadwork that she could use. I can let her use watercolors or even some washable acrylic paints to paint with if she wants to, but let her kind of mimic that art showcase, but just on a simpler level. The other item that I printed out for her that is included in the Gather Round pre-reader pages in lieu of the art showcase are these mini books that they have your pre-reader color and create just these little narrations or reviews of what they learned in the unit. And Mariah really enjoyed creating these for the government unit study, so I'm going to let her do that again here for this study. So she will work on the pre-reader mini books. As I've said before, I don't include Ezra, my 3-year-old, formally in our homeschool, but I do like to have things available for him that are related to what we are studying for those days, for those times when he is around, when he toddles in and he wants to be a part of school. So I've created a few resources for him to go along with this U.S. history unit. First of all, I've created a sensory bin for him, something I like to do for every unit. I took some kinetic sand and just put it in a plastic shoebox. And then, as you guys know, I absolutely love the tube safari figures. And these are a set that we've had on hand for years and years. They were something I purchased for Noah, when he was probably Ezra's age. But we had the Powhatan tribe figures. This also included a figure of Pocahontas, and we had some other Indigenous American tribe figures. So I just included all of those in a bin of kinetic sand. Next, very similar to Mariah, I'm going to make sure that I have watercolor paints available for him, maybe even some finger paints if I'm feeling really brave and really crafty. And then I'm also going to have his lacing beads and lacing cards out so that when the older kids are working on their beadwork, he could do that. And then of course we always have Play-Doh available. If the older kids are working on pottery, he could play with Play-Doh. And of course, as I mentioned before, I went ahead and printed out all of the coloring pages that were in the pre-reader notebook for him. And I am just simply putting those together, stapling them together. I'm not putting them in a binder. I'm not 3-hole punching them. I just put them together and stapled them. Easy peasy, just a real simple little coloring book for him. All right, so extra activities that I am hoping to do as a family. This first one, I am thrilled. I am so excited to do this one. We are going to recreate a Thanksgiving dinner, even though it's spring. We will make Thanksgiving themed foods and have kind of a Thanksgiving celebration here in the Ralston house one night for dinner. I think that this will be a great night to go ahead and showcase some of those Thanksgiving themed picture books. It will feel a little bit weird to do this in the springtime in the warm weather, but it will really just go along with what we are studying in this unit. Another activity that I've planned for the entire family is to listen to one particular episode from Adventures in Odyssey. Now, if you are not familiar with this resource, this is a radio program that is put out by Focus on the Family, and it's just kind of a live drama, kind of an old-fashioned radio program with actors acting out a story. We have collected a lot of these CDs over the years. Well, they have one episode in particular called Columbus the Grand Voyage, so I am planning on letting all of us listen to that together as a family. A few other resources I found down in the basement just as I was shopping my own supplies and my own reserves. I have several of these Dover coloring books that I have bought secondhand. I mean, these are probably 10 years old, but I found a bunch of these coloring books that will just be a great addition for the kids to work on maybe while I'm reading aloud to them. I also have this Professor Noggin's History of the United States card game that I purchased when we did our government unit study. This will also be appropriate for this unit study. It obviously has a lot more to it than just the time period we are studying, but it definitely fits. I also found this CD downstairs. This is called We Sing America. This is from a Sunlight level. We've actually never even opened it, so I am looking forward to using this. I think Mariah will enjoy it in particular. It has a little book in here and a 1-hour CD that has all kinds of readings and songs that are all just American themed. All right, so let's talk about movies. Now, I'm going to get on my soapbox, please forgive me, but before I start naming all of the titles that I am hoping to pair along with this unit, I just want to put a little disclaimer out there. As always, before you watch any movie or film that I recommend here on my channel, please make sure that you do your due diligence and do your research for yourself. Watch previews, read reviews, check out a movie for yourself before you view it with your family. As I've said on here many of times, we have a large age range of kids. I have a baby all the way up to teenagers. And so some movies that I'm going to say on here are more appropriate for my teens, whereas some of the movies may be appropriate for my toddler. It is ultimately up to you to decide what is appropriate for your family. So just because I am mentioning something here on this video, please just make sure you make good decisions about what works best for your family. Another little thing, I'm going to get off my soapbox, I promise, but something else I did want to mention on here. A lot of these titles that I'm going to mention today are purely for entertainment purposes. I am not looking to these films, to these movies, to educate my children on historical facts. I am using these as entertainment and as conversation starters with my kids, where we can watch a cartoon depiction of a historical event and actually have a conversation about, is that accurate? Did that happen? Was that a good representation of that person? And so I just wanted to put that out there. I will get off of my soapbox and let's just dive into all of the titles I've included. First up, I have the Disney movie Pocahontas, and I also believe there's a Pocahontas 2. Next up, I have a couple of Charlie Brown films, the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving and the Charlie Brown Mayflower Voyager film. We will definitely also be watching some of the U.S. History Schoolhouse Rock songs. There is also Felicity, an American Girl adventure that would go really well with this time period. If you have girls who like American Girl doll things, that might be a great movie for you. I mentioned that we are reading The Sign of the Beaver as our family read aloud. Well, there is a movie titled that on Amazon Prime right now that I think we're going to check out. And then also I'm hoping to watch the Disney movie Squanto. This came out in the 1990s. I actually remember taking a class field trip when I was in middle school and going and seeing this movie in theaters. This will be a fun one to watch with the kids and kind of go down memory lane. All right, guys, well, that wraps things up for today. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, please take a second, give it a thumbs up, like it down below. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and leave me a comment. Let me know if you have done the U.S. History unit yet in your homeschool, or if you are planning on using it. I am always looking to grow my Gather Round Homeschool community. I hope that you guys are enjoying your homeschool this year. See you later.